This is VSiN's Big Game BetCast with Matt Brown and Mike Pritchard. Here's Gill Alexander.
The Los Angeles Rams are Super Bowl champions, Super Bowl 56 champions. The Bengals had a third and a long one near midfield. It looked like Samaje Perine could have gotten to the sticks. Somehow he did not, and on 4th and 1, Aaron Donald decided, I'm about to end all of this.
And as you watch, and everyone sitting with the Stafford rushing prop watches in slow motion as it goes into dust, because it was 5.5. He had 6, and he is kneeling right now and out, and you are now losing. It is the worst. We watched it happen. We watched it happen with Mahomes 2 years ago, and here it is again. Yeah.
Rams money line hits. Bengals against the spread hits.
Boom.
Under hits.
Blue Gatorade hits. That's what color it was.
Everybody who had NFC futures on the Rams and Super Bowl futures on the Rams, if you played the opposing team plus the points, everything has hit both weeks. And there is Kelly Midland. No Midland today. Oh, yes, Midland as well.
Get that middle. Let's go, baby.
Yes, sir.
My heart hurts for Joe Burrow, but listen, this team, if they can get an offensive line, they're going to be back. So I'm not that. I'll tell you this. Hitting all these bets feels good.
Yes, it feels great. Let me tell you something. Odell Beckham Jr. moved to tears on the sidelines. We don't have an MVP announcement yet. We're thinking it's Matthew Stafford, though, which will save me. Over the Bengals bet, pre-flop, in-game, Stafford will make up. And by the way, no missed extra point hits as well for me. The only thing that missed was the touchback and the mix and rushing yards in the end. Interviewing Aaron Donald at the end. Hope that means he's not the MVP. Hope that's what that means. But he had, what a football game he had. 2 sacks, 1 quarterback hit, and 3 quarterback hurries. None bigger than that last one where Joe Mixon was forced to just throw it, whirling dervish. Looked like Samaje Perine might have been able to die for that, but he did not.
Well, Donald stopped the 3rd and 1, Perine. Like, how are you tiptoeing into the line of scrimmage anyway? But Donald blew that play up, and then he gets and penetrates and flushes Joe Burrow on that last pass too. Yeah. Just the impact right there. But I agree with you. I think overall, the whole game, the entire game, to come back and score that final touchdown, probably tip your cap to Matthew Stafford as MVP.
Pritch, been great having you here for a second consecutive year.
Great to be with you
guys. Matt, congratulations to all of us on all the bets we hit. Kelly, good for you wearing the Rams jersey. Look at Kelly. There's one more shot of Kelly here, holding money. For Matt Brown, for Mike Pritchard, for Kelly Bidlin, Gill Alexander, that's the BetCast. Rams, champions of the National Football League. We send it over to Circa Tim Murray, and Sean King takes us over from here. Enjoy.
Your favorite bet came home.
Absolutely.
4th time, 23-20. And, we were talking all week about how all these games have been so close throughout the playoffs. There are props across town. Will the game land exactly 3? Sure enough, it lands exactly 3, 23-20. So much to unpack. First initial thought, we're waiting for the official announcement, who the MVP will be as the Rams beat the Bengals 23-20. If you were handing it out, would it be Matthew Stafford or would it be Aaron Donald?
Well, let me just say this. The Rams won this game because of Matthew Stafford. He never blinked. He kept his composure. He stayed in the pocket, even under duress, made throw after throw after throw. Odell Beckham goes down, didn't matter. Doesn't have Tyler Higbee, didn't matter. Throughout the season, they lose Robert Woods, didn't matter. He found a way to connect with Cooper Kupp when it mattered the most. And so I think the MVP has to go to Stafford. Donald did exactly what Donald's supposed to do, but without Stafford, they're not where they're at now, which is Super Bowl champions. But I also got to say this. It's been a long offseason for Zach Taylor. 2nd and 1, your team is driving. You get cute, take a shot down the field, come back 3rd and 1, and always, as a play caller, let your best players lose the game. You run the ball on 3rd and 1, where's Joe Mixon? Joe Mixon's had an outstanding game running the ball. That's Samaje Perine. He doesn't pick it up. Then on 4th down, Aaron Donald does what Aaron Donald does. So Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase, once you had 2nd and 1, did not get their hands on the football. It's going to be a long offseason for Zach when he looks back at this.
Yeah, Samaje Perine had 2 carries today. And Sean, for Samaje Perine, he hadn't had a carry in a couple of weeks since the wild card round against the Las Vegas Raiders. We're going to bring in Mike Pereira here in just a moment because for the majority of, at least the first half, Sean, very clean game. The only penalty was the boneheaded mistake by the Bengals player running on the field. And then you're seeing the refs eat the flag on a touchdown pass on the first offensive play of the half, and then a very, very questionable and vital defensive holding call on a third down pass.
Yeah, I think in that situation you can't throw that flag because the temperature of the game was one where they were letting the guys play. And then for it to be 3rd and goal, key moment in the game, you give the Rams complete new life by throwing that flag. I feel like he has to keep that flag in his pocket, especially because, as we saw in the replay, it wasn't a blatant foul. It was very questionable on if it was a foul at all.
Let's bring in the rules analyst extraordinaire, that is Mike Pereira, who's been hanging out with us all throughout the day. And Mike, you and Stormy were talking at the half. It was a pretty boring half when it comes to refereeing, which is nice to see. And now there's a lot of questions. Let's start towards the end of the game. A whole lot of flags as the Rams ultimately get that touchdown pass to Cooper Kupp. What did you make of the 3rd down holding call on the defense that really changed the tenor of that final drive?
Well, I'm like Sean. I mean, come on now. If you're gonna play it kind of loose, then let's be consistent the whole way. And to me, that almost isn't really ticky-tack. I mean, I don't see it as a foul, period. I mean, if I was grading games like I used to and I looked at that play, if nothing was called, I would have never said anything about it. So it is one that I don't think should have been called. And then, the big miss people are going to talk about, the offensive pass interference or face mask, whichever you want to call it. That one surprises me because that back judge, who's a very experienced back judge, is not inclined to miss things like that. And it was a pretty obvious face mask grab. So I like the fact that there were only 6 accepted penalties. I like the fact there were no instant replay stoppages. There were no expedited reviews. There were no video assistance. The judgment area of the game was really well handled. But those 2 situations, and you hate to see it in the Super Bowl or any game, but in the Super Bowl, you hate to see those misses because we're going to talk about those now for a long time.
Mike, I think overall it was a very well-refereed game. I have been one that's championed referees being held accountable post-game. When we start to have things pop up, like owners paying coaches to intentionally lose games for draft position, with the league needing to kind of like revamp their integrity and have more transparency, do we get to a point where when this happens, the judge that threw the flag has to actually come before the reporters after the game, and you put a name and a face with who made that call and have them explain what made them throw the flag in that situation, understanding how the game had played out until that point?
Well, you do have the ability to send a pool reporter in. I mean, if a pool reporter wants to come in and get a statement by the officials as to why something was or wasn't called, then they have the right to do that. But, and the thing is, to me, I think that transparency in officiating has gone away a little bit. I mean, it kind of opened up in my day when I was there. I did a segment on NFL Network, and we talked about missed calls, and we were up front when mistakes were made. And I think it was important because, you lose credibility if you don't address those mistakes that you made. So, but I think also it doesn't necessarily accomplish much because we know that the mistake was made. And you can't say there's not accountability because there's 8 new officials coming in this year that are replacing some that are retired and then some that are quote unquote retired. So there's always accountability, but you just hate to have it be a topic of conversation at the end of an unbelievable postseason. I mean, what we went through in the divisions and the championship games, and then again tonight, unbelievable games, and you just don't want to have to talk about officiating.
Mike, you've been around the game a long time in the officiating capacity, but there's a lot of experience that comes with that. You kind of get to interact, with all the sides. There's been a lot of quarterbacks like Matthew Stafford, Phillip Rivers comes to mind. Some of these guys from production standpoint who've been elite, but they never actually won a championship. After tonight, is Matthew Stafford now a first ballot Hall of Famer when he walks away from the game in your eyes?
I lost contact. I lost you, Sean.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I said we've seen some guys be productive, Phillip Rivers, and guys that, just never could actually win a championship, but statistically they were elite. After tonight, my question for you was, in your opinion, is Matthew Stafford now a first ballot Hall of Famer when he walks away from the game?
Well, to me, he is because of what he accomplished in Detroit, which I think was really his numbers that he put up there were tremendous. But then he comes into a situation here. And what I really like is that he started strong and then hit really kind of a dry spell, and the whole Rams club kind of struggled a little bit. But he brought them back. I mean, he brought them back. And so to me, I would say yes, because he's been a great story. He's been a great story. And so, I would certainly like to see him as a first ballot.
Hey, Mike, we really appreciate you've been phenomenal on the air and being with us all day. So thanks so much, Mike.
Appreciate you, Mike.
You got it. See you later.
There he is, rules analyst Mike Pereira. And, that's one thing that is so great about having Mike Pereira on these broadcasts is that it is transparency, and there's no defending it. Both those calls were bad missed calls and vital to both sides. And I'm not going to say it evened out because, I don't know, it's just it's unfortunate to see it play out that way. But 23-20, the final score. Bengals do cover the closing number of 4.5. The under comes home. Thankfully, I got at least one bet right now. Jeez Louise. We will grade out props. We'll tell you who the MVP is as well. The Rams are Super Bowl champs, 23-20 over the Bengals.